Hello and welcome to our PM edition of our live event number 1 for HIM 205. So again, as you may have seen on this morning's recording, there are two options, an AM and a PM. So find what works for you. So I'm going to run through a little bit of what I touched on in this morning and this morning's recording, and then advance into the Jeopardy game that I teased again in this morning's recording. Okay, so just a reminder, how to get a hold of me. I can be reached via text at 602-529-6002. Also a great option is Canvas inbox message. I try to check that regularly as well. And as you can see from this slide, I have a few things going on. I will get back to you as soon as I can. Also, do not be alarmed if you receive messaging from me in the middle of the night. I'm not actually working in the middle of the night. I am the Pacific time zone, and so sometimes when I sit down to work on things at 9 or 10 o'clock p.m. my time, that's a wee bit late your time. So feel free to message me at any time, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Okay, so jumping through a little bit, as I said on this morning's recording, we touched through this, just some of the high points about 205, but this being our live event number 1, really just wanting to take an opportunity to kind of stress the opportunities that we have as we go through this course. So this course started just a mere 3 weeks ago on, let me see, wasn't it July 14th? And we are running until the middle of September. So here we are, just a couple days into week 3. I'm already having our first live event, and our second live event is going to be on Monday, September 2nd. And that one will be on the same time frame, an AM and a PM split. So find what works for you. Put it on your calendar. Be sure to drop in. And again, if you're not able to make it, I always record. Okay, so jumping into this, like I said, there are quite a few things that I went over in this morning's recording, but one of the most important is just to keep in mind, I totally get what it is to be crazy busy, to be pinned against those deadlines and whatnot. What's most important is as you go into the course tab, if you find that you are short on time, you're gonna need some grace on something, please do the discussion questions first, okay? Because those cannot be extended. Those are only active during the week in which we have the questions. So for example, this week is week 3. This week 3 discussion question is only active during week 3. It actually closes at the end of the week. So those we cannot actually extend, so you don't want to lose those 10 points. When it comes to mind tap and things like that, I try to be as flexible as possible. Okay, so on that note, we did touch on again in this morning's recording, what are pretty much the high points that we have for our syllabus this time around? Well, it's an introduction to HCPCS. So we're looking at level 1, level 2, and getting comfortable with our CPT book. So probably this week is when we're really starting to get into making our way through the book, preparing to start really getting serious about the coding that we're doing within it. Okay, but what I wanted to do is to take advantage of the fact that we are still building those foundations. So let's have a little fun. Let's refresh some of the knowledge that we have gained, and maybe even some knowledge that we haven't picked up yet. So I did develop this Jeopardy game that you see here, and I will send out the link so that you can play this game yourself, see how you score with some of the things. But what we're really looking at is what have you retained when it's looking at, for example, dueling code sets, ICD versus CPT. Do you recognize some of the nuances between them? Would you be able to tell the difference? These are going to be focused in that category. We have another category, regulations and government agencies. It's really kind of thinking about who is it that is building these code sets? Who are the overarching bodies when it comes to this? Level up, HCPCS level 1 versus level 2. So as you know with Jeopardy, you get a fact, you come up with a question. We won't go so far as to have to answer it in a question. But again, differentiating between level 1 and level 2. Also call in the temp service. This one focuses on those temporary codes. Again, little facts about the temp codes, see what you know. Pull from a mind tap reading. This one, hopefully you've encountered it, and if not, it will definitely stick with you when you get there. And then finally, making it real. What could possibly be in that one? Well, we'll see. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started, kind of running through some of these. I won't do all of them, but let's go ahead and start making a dent in these. And like I said, I will send out the link. You can play the game for yourself, and again, have a little bit of fun. This is just another way, almost like a fun flashcard game, right? Okay, maybe not. Let's go ahead and take a look at this one. So how about let's start with dueling code sets, ICD versus CPT. Let's go ahead and start for 10. This code set is updated at the start of every federal fiscal year. That's a key word, federal fiscal year. What do you think it is? Okay, have you had time to think about it? Just a little bit of time. All right, this is ICD. So the ICD-10, just like its predecessors, ICD-9 and company, comes out at the start of every federal fiscal year, which means that it's every October. So we receive the updates via the Federal Register, and it's every October. Okay, so a little bit different than its counterpart, the CPT. Let's go ahead and continue on this path. Let's check out dueling code sets, ICD versus CPT for 20. The CPT code set is maintained by this professional group or association. Who maintains it? Think about this one for a few more seconds. Do you think you know this one? This one is the AMA. So the American Medical Association actually maintains the CPT code set. Okay, so a little bit different than when it comes to ICD. Let's continue down this path and let's go for 30. This code set is updated at the start of every calendar year. So again, picking out that keyword, we know that ICD was federal. Which one goes with calendar year? It gets to be a little bit easier, right? We kind of have a 50-50 based on the name of the category. And this one is the CPT. So CPT codes come out every January, and that's when they are updated, which means that they are in effect starting with your January 1st dates of service or discharges. Okay? So let's go ahead and continue down this path because I feel like we're on a roll. Okay, so here we have the ICD code set was updated in the US from ICD-9 to ICD-10 on this date. What was this? Several incarnations, right? We kept thinking we were going to go and then pull back. And then we thought we were going to go and pull back, okay? When did it finally launch? October 1st, 2015. So we had been waiting for this for years. People had been doing ramp-up projects, and then the consultants would go away and CMS would update it, and the consultants would come back, and we were prepared. We were preparing our physicians. We were preparing our coding staff. It was a really big move to go from ICD-9 to ICD-10, and that's part of the reason that they kept having to delay. Okay, and finally, for 50, dueling code sets, ICD versus CPT. This code set includes only numeric digits. Which one is it, ICD or CPT? Hopefully this one came to you quickly. It is, of course, CPT. So we're going to have, looking at the CPT codes, those 5-digit numerical codes, as opposed to our friends in ICD-10, which has numeric. I'm sorry, not just numeric, they have also the alpha. All right, let's go ahead and just jump over one column. Let's check out regulations and government agencies, because that's like calling to us, right? We want to check this one out. Okay, this legislation mandated the use of HCPCS. What was this legislation? Again, you probably saw this in your Mind Tap reading. What is this one? It is HIPAA. So HIPAA came out with a lot of different things. I think a lot of times as HIM professionals, we tend to think about the privacy component, but there was also things about standardization and how we do different processes. Some of them related to billing, obviously coding, electronic transmission of data. A lot of things were packed into HIPAA. Okay, how about 20 under regulations and government agencies? When billing a government payer, the CPT code set has another name. What might this be? When billing a government payer, the CPT code set has another name. And it is HCPCS. So once again, HCPCS. When you look at, you know, the HCPCS are derived from or alongside the CPT, we call them HCPCS when we are billing the government payer. Okay, let's go ahead and go for 30. This entity claims no responsibility for HCPCS Level 2 printing errors. Who is it that wants no accountability for printing errors? And this would be, of course, CMS, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. So the reason why they do that is because They permit other entities to go ahead and to print up the info and to send it out. However, they're saying, okay, you can have free reign on this information, but we're not responsible if you have a printing error and send somebody down a bad path, right? That bad path meaning that you're miscoding based on a misprint. Okay, so let's check out 40. This form is a Medicare requirement, and without it, a Medicare beneficiary cannot be charged for uncovered services. What is the form that alerts a Medicare beneficiary that they will be charged for uncovered services, right? Because without this form, you can't charge them. This form is actually called the Advanced Beneficiary Notice. So the thing with this form is that you have to give it to people in advance. You're not allowed to give it to them after discharge. You're not allowed to give it to them after you find out that it's an uncovered service. You have to give it to that Medicare patient when they present and they're doing their registration. Again, without it, you're going to be denied and you will not be able to bill the patient for it. Okay. And finally, 50. This is a common example of a certificate of medical necessity for DME. So what is a common example of a certificate of medical necessity for durable medical equipment? Is a prescription. So writing a prescription to be able to get that DME is going to provide some medical necessity to be able to get that DME. Okay, we're not going to be predictable. We are going to jump over the level up. Let's go ahead and go to calling the temp service, just because. Okay, this code category is identified by the keywords Medicaid and mental health treatment. What might be this code category? Again, from the temporary codes section. What might this be? It is H codes. So these are reported to state Medicaid agencies that are mandated by state law to establish separate codes for identifying mental health services. So again, these come under the temporary code section and they are H codes. Those keywords being Medicaid and mental health. All right, let's check out the next one. Temporary codes for 20. This code category is identified by the keywords MAX and medical review. What might this one be? As you can tell, we're going to be looking for the name of a category. It's going to start with a letter. What might this one be? Are you scrambling for your table to look this one up, or maybe you already have it printed? All right, what is this one? This one is the K codes. So when reported to MAX, when existing permanent national codes do not include what's needed to implement a medical review coverage policy. Okay, so again, keywords with the K codes, MAX and medical review. So let's go ahead and take a look at this next one. We're going for 30. The length of time that a temporary code remains active. What is that length of time? All right, it is indefinitely. So there is not a an expiration date. There's not sort of an auto renew. It is just indefinitely available to be used. Okay, and for 40, this group is responsible for maintaining the temporary codes. What is the name of this group? Think about this one for a moment. And what did you come up with? The CMS HCPCS work group. Kind of makes sense when you think about it, right? Who is maintaining all the temporary codes that are a part of this? And that is going to be the CMS HCPCS work group. All right, and finally 50 under temporary codes. In this decade, the development and use of level 2 for HCPCS began. What decade is it? There's only so many decades. Okay, so this one is the 1980s. There was a ton of activity in the 1980s. HCPCS was one of them. Another thing, the whole PPS program came out in 1983, so it seems very likely that HCPCS would have arrived around the same time. Again, from different perspectives, but it was a very, very energizing time in terms of change in the industry. Okay, so level up or making it real. Let's go ahead and level up. So level up, HCPCS level 1 versus level 2 for 10. Level that contains alphanumeric characters. Level 1, level 2. Which one is it? This one, alphanumeric. This is going to be level 2, right? Because our CPTs are fully numeric. So if we're looking for alphanumeric, it's going to be HCPCS level 2. What about 20? The revised code will be identified using this shape. What shape will be used? Will be placed next to the code. Therefore, you will know that it's revised, right? Because there's different types of shapes to indicate changes. What is the triangle? So a triangle, I can't draw one with my finger. A little triangle will be placed next to a revised code. HCPCS level 1 versus level 2 for 30. Code an injectable. A coder will use this type of code. What do you think if this one might be? To code an injectable, this code. This one is a J code. So whenever you have the medications, you probably spend a lot of time focused on those J codes. I used to work in a cancer center, and when it came to our coding, we had a ton of J codes. You can think about the amount of J codes that we utilize as you go through maybe recurring visits for things like infusion and stuff like that. Okay, on to level 1 versus level 2 for 40. Maybe we're gonna do this whole thing. Okay, these letters do not lead any of the HCPCS level 2 codes. So you already know there's level J, or I'm sorry, not level J, there is category J. There are those that lead off with K. There are those that lead off with H. What letters do not have any codes? And it's W, X, Y, Z. Okay, so we do not have any codes that would start off with a W, an X, a Y, or a Z. And finally, 50, level 1 versus level 2, 35% of the HCPCS level 2 code set include this type of code. What type of code is it? 35% of the HCPCS. You know, I do hate it when I look at the game and realize I have a typo. Okay, so what do you think this is? 35% of the HCPCS level 2 code set is temporary codes. That's a significant portion of our code set is actually temporary codes. Okay, so finally, let's go ahead and make it real. So making it real for 10, this quantity is billed for a drug administered in a 70 milligram dose when the HCPCS code notes per 50 milligrams. So how many quantities would you put? If you have the HCPCS code that says per 50, but you actually gave 70, what are you going to put? What is that quantity that you list? It is 2, right? Because the 1 takes care of 50, and now you've gone over 50, you need to add the second one. Okay, you get this making it real? It's actually making it real. Okay, so let's check out 20 points. These 2 claims are generated when a doctor treats a Medicare patient for a broken ankle and supplies the patient with crutches. What are the 2 claims that are generated? This one is the claim for the fracture care or the prophy, and that is sent to the primary MAC, and then you have the DME portion. And that is the claim for the crutches, which is sent to the DME MAC. Okay, so you have the services provided, and then you have the DME component. Okay, what about making it real for 30? This claim form's block 24D allows the HCPCS level 2 and CPT codes and multiple modifiers to be reported on the same line. Not to get lost in all that detail, what is the name of this claim form? This one is the CMS 1500. This is where prophy services and things like that are actually always reported. They're not going to be on a UB, so these are going to be on the CMS 1500. And making it real for 40, this modifier is added to codes for procedures that are performed on both sides during the same operative session. What might this be? Modifier. Everybody loves modifiers, right? Okay, and this one is 50. So when you are working on a left-right during the same operative section, you're going to add the modifier 50. Okay, and finally, our last one, making it real for 50. I have to actually click on the 50. This modifier is used to identify an ambulance transfer that provided transport from the physician's office to the hospital facility. What modifier would that be? Think about that one for a second. A hint, if it doesn't come immediately to you, is that this modifier actually describes from the physician's office to the hospital facility. What do you think it is? This one is PH. At least I feel like it describes it, right? From the physicians, the P, to the hospital, the H. Okay. Anyways, this one identifies that there was a transport and from to those locations. Okay, that was it. That was hopefully a fun way to refresh yourself. Again, the differences between ICD and CPT. There are more differences than what were showed here, but again, there's only so many boxes. Again, regulations and government agencies. Yay, HIPAA for bringing about HCPCS. Leveling up, so level 1 versus level 2, the creation of level 2s in the 1980s. Who knew? A lot of good things in the 1980s. Music, yes. Hair, no. Call in the temp service. 35% of our code set is actually made up of temporary codes. So it's important to recognize those different types of codes. Again, we learned about the H and the K. There's even more than that. And then making it real. So looking at how many claims are generated when you have a service and a DME. What sort of modifiers are you using when you have a bilateral something or you have maybe transport? A lot of different opportunities. We packed a lot into these squares. So hopefully you enjoyed that. And again, I will be sending out the link to you so you can do that on your own time. And let's go ahead. Oh, yes, of course. Great job. Alex Trebek is so proud of you. So making our way, closing with something inspirational. Believe in yourself and you will be unstoppable. So hopefully you're feeling good about this course. Maybe you might have even enjoyed this recording. Go check out the game and keep plugging along. Let me know if there's anything that I can do to help you. And I hope to see you at our live event number 2 coming in September. All right, have a great night.